Hey, what's up, Shazam fans?
Shazam the show and get access.
Download the Shazam app if you don't have it already.
And you can Shazam anytime to get the Rising Star app.
Get your phone or tablet out and Shazam this performance for a free track.
Special new Glee lets you Shazam anytime during the episode to receive a free music download.
Use your Shazam app.
Shazam!
Shazam tonight's performances.
You know by now that you can Shazam.
Get red carpet extras by Shazam-ing.
This service, used to identify a song, has been around since 2002 and is also used as a verb meaning to identify a song. Matt.
What is Shazam?
Shazam.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm Dana Wollman with Engadget. This is Rich Riley, CEO of Shazam. Thanks so much for being here. First things first, just a little bit of housekeeping. We are going to be doing a live demo of a new feature in Shazam. So if you guys have your mobile devices here, it would be great if you could just take a minute to make sure you have the latest version of the app. It's iPhone only, I believe. So if you have an iPhone, go ahead and download the latest update.
We have a little something for Android too, but mandatory Shazam-ing.
Yes. All right, so Rich, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so there's so much I want to ask about where Shazam is going, but I think before we talk about where the company's going, it's just, this year has sort of flown by. It would be great if we could just recap where you guys are right now. What are you guys working on? What's the biggest priority as we start to close out 2014?
Yeah, well, it's been a big year for Shazam. We just announced yesterday that we've crossed 100 million mobile monthly active users, which we think puts us in the top 15 apps in the world type category. So that was a huge milestone that we've been running after for a long time. So that's very, very exciting for us. We'll also be part of the iOS 8 release that Apple is rumored to be making next month. And so we'll be integrated into Siri. And so you'll be able to do Shazams through Siri. And we'll also be launching in the next couple months in almost every movie theater in the US. And so one of the things that we're doing is not only going deeper in music, but also going beyond music. So you saw a taste of our TV activities in that video. We've just launched our retail environments, and we're about to be a big part of the movies. So lots of exciting things happening.
Okay, great. So, I mean, I think one of the first things I'd like to do is just do a live demo, just catch us up on where the app is today, especially because the iOS app recently did get a big makeover. So it's worth poking around a little bit.
Yeah, so I thought today maybe I could show you guys, we launched something called, we call it Auto-Shazam. And this is where Shazam runs continuously in the background. Even if you turn your phone, put your phone to sleep, put it in your pocket, it's continuously recognizing. So it's fantastic in the car, fantastic. People say they go to a gym that has a great playlist. And for us, it was a pretty major technical accomplishment. Fast Company named us the 19th most innovative company in the world, largely because of this. And so, unfortunately, it only works on iOS at the moment because we're still working through some microphone permission challenges on Android.
Okay.
But if you have iOS and you just flip this switch, there you go. So there's a switch on the opening screen of Shazam where you just turn Auto-Shazam on. And then we'll play a little audio clip and you will see Auto-Shazam in action.
So is this something users were asking for? Do you think that there was some contingent who just didn't want to keep asking what the song was? Or were they finding themselves in situations where there were just a lot of unfamiliar songs at once?
You know, there's a little bit of that, but this was also one where we really think that the future of mobile is an always-on state. Mm-hmm. And so we think as these devices get more and more powerful and bandwidth gets faster and faster, that your phone, you're not going to have to give these inputs to your phone. It's going to be smart enough to detect what's going on. And so we really had the technical capability to sort of just go there. We wanted to go there first and start learning. And we've already learned a lot about how to take it easy on the battery, you know, how to sort the things that we're matching and those sort of things. And so, so this was a little bit more of just a pure innovation by us in terms of where we think the world's going.
Okay, great. I'll come back to the demo once your device is ready. Yeah. So you know I have to ask about iOS 8 coming out next month. So I think one of the surprising things to me was that Apple could have just built a Shazam competitor itself. It has this big development team. It's this big company with all these resources. But instead it just took the existing service and integrated it. I'm curious about that, and also just, this is sort of a separate question, but you guys don't really have any imposters right now. I mean, you think of other tech companies. Uber has an obvious competitor. Pandora eventually got an obvious competitor. You guys never, if you had a competitor, no one here probably knows the name. You guys don't have any obvious copycats. How did that happen? Why is Shazam the exception there?
Yeah, I think one, Shazam is over 12 years old. So Shazam started way before the iPhone, and as you can imagine, the first few years is pretty tough sledding when you're trying to get people to SMS, sound clips, audio files to recognize the name of a song, and then you can't buy it. And so there's not much of a revenue model. But they kept perfecting the art of that, and then when the iPhone came, all the graphs went up and to the right. And so I think part of it was just a huge head start on these things, and then just continued investment and development to where, like you said, it really is clear category leadership.
So once iOS 8 comes out, I'm told that there is still going to be a standalone Shazam app in the App Store. It's not like it's going to disappear from the iPhone. Why might someone still use the standalone app instead of using the Siri version?
Yeah, so so Siri will be able to recognize what Shazam can recognize, mm-hmm. and it'll return a result, but it'll also link to the Shazam app. And I can't talk a lot about what they're launching, but there will absolutely still be a Shazam app. There will be more content in the Shazam app, and we think most people will still use the Shazam app. So it's more of an extension of Shazam than a replacement of Shazam.
Okay, great. Looks like your device is ready there.
Okay. So you guys, if you have your iOS device, turn Auto-Shazam on, and you guys can play the audio file.
Rhythm is a dancer. I need a companion. Girl, I guess that must be you. Why gotta be so rude? Don't you know you're meant to? Why gotta be so rude? I'm gonna marry you anyway.
trouble. I'm all about that bass, about that bass. No trouble. I'm all about that bass, about that bass. I'm bringing booty back. Go ahead and tell them skinny bitches that. No, I'm just playing. I know you'll think you're fat.
All right. So can you just pause it for 1 second? So what you just auto-Shazammed was the top 5 songs in the US Shazam chart right now. And as you can see, it's pretty fast. And so right now, most Shazams take less than 4 seconds, which is something we focus a lot on. And with almost every monthly release, we shave a few more milliseconds off that. And when we Shazam something, we capture the tops of sound waves, send that to a data center that's outside the US, and in less than 4 seconds, match against 30 million songs, 160 TV channels, and more to return that result, which you then can buy on iTunes through iOS in a couple taps. And so that works even if it's in your pocket or your bag or whatever. So we're pretty excited about Auto-Shazam. And then now, if you could push play again, what you just got there was my business card. And the way that worked was there was an ultrasonic watermark playing that we couldn't hear, but that Shazam can hear. And so as you think about Shazam moving into retail environments and other places and making things Shazamable, we're going way beyond music. And so that's probably the first time you've ever done something with ultrasonic sound waves. And I'm told it's perfectly safe on dogs and pets as well. So
Nice.
Let's see. The one other thing I'll just show you is we launched a news feed recently. This isn't my phone, so it doesn't have my news feed, but your news feed is, we fill it with content based on what you've Shazammed. And so every time you Shazam something, it's a pretty nice signal of what you're interested in. And so if you Shazam Katy Perry, when she comes to New York, we'll let you know. When she comes out with a new album, we'll let you know, new video, etc. And so we're continuing to push content now based on what you've Shazammed, which is another new release we've done this year, and we can plan to keep doing more and more of that.
So it's sort of a learning feature, in a way.
It is, absolutely.
How long have you guys been working on that? I remember when I first was introduced to Shazam, I don't know if it had those kind of learning capabilities. That seems like a relatively new
It is.
thing.
Yeah, really just in the last year. Have we really started to be able to leverage the data to enrich the product and add content? And we've also gone to a more modular design so that we can sort of populate different content modules based on the data.
I mean, it makes sense. If something like Siri is going to have Shazam built in, Siri is great at learning your habits. It's probably best if it goes both ways. If you could also be just as good at learning people's listening habits and people's tastes and all that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we want it to be as relevant experience to you as we can make it.
Great. So I have some questions about Shazam of the future and where you guys are going. Number one, you guys are fairly adventurous and fairly aggressive about getting into new devices. You were one of the first apps in the App Store for iPhone back in 2008. You guys are on iOS, you're on Android, you're on Windows Phone, which actually a lot of app developers are avoiding altogether.
Sure.
And you guys are on Google Glass, which I'm especially curious about.
Yep.
Glass isn't even available as a commercial product yet. Why is it so important to you guys to be there right away?
Yeah. So we're big believers in wearables, and I know that Samsung and Apple and others are putting a lot of energy into them. And so we know there are going to be a lot of devices out there with these operating systems. And at Shazam, we're almost organized around iOS, Android, and also Windows. And so we want to follow those operating systems as they sort of expand into all these different devices. And so Google Glass was an example for us to do just that. And similar to Auto-Shazam, that's where we like to innovate in terms of going first, figuring it out, how is Shazam going to work in this environment on this device. And we'll probably go the same way as things go into watches, as these operating systems go into cars.
Cars is one I hadn't thought of. I was going to ask about watches and ask about what place Shazam might have on your wrist.
Sure.
How would that work, do you think?
Well, first of all, we'll go with Siri. So if Siri goes there, we would go there.
Okay.
And it's just, a lot of the watches basically interact with your phone. And so if that became an easier way to access Shazam, we can put the button on your watch or the Auto-Shazam switch on your watch. So, it's fairly straightforward for us.
Do you guys see yourselves able to make a difference in the fitness market at all? It seems like fitness devices seem to be becoming more popular and more mainstream. And I know that music is a big part of the way a lot of people work out. Is there room for you guys at all in that fitness space?
I think where we add value to fitness is just we bring the music.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do say that one of Auto-Shazam's most popular use cases is the gym class use case.
The gym class, really?
Where, you know, they say there's a great playlist in my gym class. I turn on Auto-Shazam, I walk out with the full playlist. And so I think that's our contribution to fitness.
Okay, great, fair enough.
Yep.
So there's this whole other world too, where Shazam is maybe less expected. And I'm so curious about this. And first of all, whose idea was this? Because when Shazam first started, obviously it was more of a music discovery service. Whose idea and at what point was it to just put Shazam everywhere in all these public places?
Yeah, this one really started with our users. So our users are Shazam-ing TV and Shazam-ing YouTube, and basically Shazam-ing wherever they heard music that they wanted to identify. And so we could see that and realize, wow, that's millions of people Shazam-ing TV. That's interesting, and we can sort of build upon that. And so that's what we've done. So we've now done over 500 TV advertisements that we've made Shazamable, including 2 Super Bowl spots this year. A really cool one with Jaguar where you go inside the car and can really go all over the car, schedule a test drive, whatever. We continue to work with shows. There were 1.1 million Shazams of the Grammys this year, 700,000 of the Super Bowl. You know, we'll be part of the VMAs this weekend, that kind of stuff. And then, so it started with TV, and now we've just sort of kept going. And so we'll be launching the next month or two where almost any movie you go to in the US, that 20-minute program before the movie starts will be encouraging you to Shazam, to engage with the content, to engage with the advertisements, to engage, to get special offers. And the movie theater is a fantastic environment for us.
Can you take me through what happens here? Is it just that something is playing and it goes beyond music recognition? I know that. Can you walk me through what happens if I'm, say, either watching the Grammys or in a movie theater? What happens once I whip out my phone?
Yeah. Well, first of all, one of our technical competencies is audio waves, like I was mentioning earlier. We're also live ingesting every US TV station. So when you Shazam, we also check and make sure that wasn't just a TV channel. And if it was, we give you a TV result. And so if you Shazam the Grammys, we've heard that a few milliseconds before you've heard it, and we'll give you a Grammys result. And that Grammys result is a fantastic timeline of the show, and it's time-stamped, so it doesn't go past where it is in the show, but it'll show you who's performed, let you buy the music, let you play the song again, let you watch the video, and frequently it'll have exclusive content from artists. So it'll have enter to win to see that artist, a video that hasn't been seen before, a free track, that kind of stuff. And it's really a great way, especially when there's music in a broadcast, to enjoy the show, and then sort of also you can go back to it because it stays in your Shazam results, and you have all the songs that played in the Grammys.
So this is sort of the flip side of what I was talking about before. You guys are a household name. People know what Shazam is, and they know it primarily as a music discovery service. How do you guys convince people that you are more than just music 12 years into the company's life?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we are, on the one hand, very fortunate to be a Verb and very proud to be a Verb. And we have done an amazing job of defining ourselves as the app you use when you hear a song you don't know the name of. And so the challenge for us is how to extend that verb to where you use it even if you do know the name of the song, because you want the synchronized lyrics, because you've forgotten the hometown of that artist or whatever it is. But then also to when you want to find out more about that TV show, that TV ad, that movie trailer, or that retail environment or that concert, that Shazam's what you do. So for now, what we really focus on is making sure there's what we call a call to action. So for those of you that saw the clip when we walked in, it would have the Shazam logo, and it would tell you you can Shazam and why you should Shazam, because it's not yet as normal as it is with music to Shazam a TV program. And so we put those call to actions, we put our logo up, and it can be really powerful. And so if it says Shazam to get a free track or to go behind the scenes, we're part of several primetime shows right now. And about 30% of our U.S. users Shazam their TV in the last 12 months.
Okay, great.
So we're making progress.
Question for you in terms of competition. One of the things that sort of surprised me is that you guys have managed to coexist really, really peacefully with services like Spotify and Rdio. It could have gone much differently. I mean, they could have tried to do what you're doing. And in a way, you're both interested in music discovery. How did it end up like that?
I think, because I'm sure they had pressure to do what we do, and we've certainly had people say, hey, why don't you just have Shazam streaming or Shazam radio? Which seems like a perfectly reasonable question, but we think about it like Spotify and Rdio and Deezer and Beats. These guys are really, really good at what they do.
They are, yeah.
Very focused on it, great at providing these services. Why do we think we could be better in what they do? And I think they have sort of a similar view on us, which is that's not what their brand means. They don't have 120 scientists focused on audio recognition and doing what we just did in less than 4 seconds. And so what's emerged is really natural partnerships. And so we have integrated those services. In fact, with Rdio, you can do full playback of the song without leaving the Shazam app. If you're an Rdio subscriber, we'll continue to integrate other providers more deeply. And we send them a lot of subscribers. So we send hundreds of thousands of clicks to streaming providers every day.
I'm going to ask you, well, we were talking about this, before we got on stage, and one of the questions I asked then was, is Shazam a social networking company? And I know what you're going to say because I've heard your answer, but it just seems that Shazam is so tangentially related to all these more social services like Spotify, and is being used in situations where people are otherwise tweeting and talking to each other, things like watching the Grammys, but not quite a social networking company.
No, so we have extensive social functionality, and so hundreds of thousands of times a day people will Shazam something, and then you can post it to Facebook, tweet it. We have Google Plus and Line and everybody else. And we're eager to be more and more social. So we want Shazam to be a very social experience, but we don't intend to create our own social graph. Mm-hmm. And so it's sort of similar to the streaming thing where we feel like, wow, Facebook's really good at that, Twitter's really good at that. How do we integrate better with those services? How do we make our content very shareable? And how do we play that role and infuse social throughout our experience without having to recreate a social network?
How often, I'm curious about how often people are using the social networking features. Do you find that over time people are more inclined to just broadcast to the world whatever song it is they've just discovered?
It's definitely a subset of our users that wants to do that. And today we basically, it's like you send it to, you post it on Facebook or you don't. Mm-hmm. Over time, I think we'll get much more targeted and have many more options on that for people who want to share it with a subset of their friends or whatever. You, of course, can email Shazam result and things like that. But it's used extensively, but it's a minority percentage of users.
It is weirdly personal. I know that with Spotify, that's one social network I really don't want to broadcast to Facebook. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's that I'm embarrassed by some of my music choices or it's just, worried of being judged by people or something. It does feel intensely personal. I can see where maybe
yeah, it's really interesting. We do have integration where if you connect on Facebook, you can see what your other friends who have connected on Facebook are Shazamming, but only in Shazam. And so for a lot of people, that actually makes it, that's more like sort of contextually appropriate, than pushing out to all of their Facebook friends. I just Shazam that song. But in that news feed, you can see what your friends are Shazamming, which is a great form of music discovery for a lot of our users.
I think so. I mean, that's where I found quite a bit. Great. I just want to take a few minutes. Does anyone so far in the audience have any questions?
Just curious about whether it's possible to collect data from live conversations taking place while the mic is on, and if so, what could possibly be done with that through collection of data?
Yeah, the way Shazam works is that Shazam takes a fingerprint of the tops of sound waves, which we call a fingerprint, and then sends that fingerprint to our systems where we try to find an exact match. That fingerprint can't be reverse engineered into anything. In fact, that's why when you sing into Shazam, we have no clue what that is. We have to have heard the exact sound waves before. And so part of that, we probably started doing it way before there were real privacy concerns. It was more out of, we started on low power phones with no bandwidth. And so we could only had so many K to work with, so that's what we sent. One of the positive results of that is it's a highly precise technology, which lets us tell a difference in that song, that version of that song, that's the song that's in the commercial, et cetera. It also makes it where there are truly no privacy concerns and that we can't reverse engineer anything. So you can leave Shazam on all day. All we do is take this fingerprint, find a match. If we don't, we throw it away. Find a match. If no, throw it away. And even if we have a whole pile of fingerprints from your day, they're meaningless. It's like tops of sound waves that can't be reverse enginered. Well, I think if we didn't do it that way and we truly were recording something or these things could be reverse engineered, it potentially could be a concern. It would be, the way it works now, there's no cause for concern, and we really haven't seen any concern. And even with the launch of Auto-Shazam, where we're saying just leave it on, we haven't had any real concern about people thinking that we're listening to their conversations or whatever.
To be clear, it's an opt-in feature, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, opt-in and very safe.
Okay, great. I thought that was a great question. Anyone else have any other questions for now?
I have one. Great listening to you before on HuffPost Live. I saw that one of the quotes mentioned on the screens was regarding the future of TV, and it was kind of positioning Shazam and the future growth potential. Do you really see the future growth potential in Shazam being with TV, or is there something else that you view 5 years down the road as being a strong revenue driver for you guys?
Yeah, great question. So we see TV as an enormous opportunity for Shazam, and the basic thing is most people have their smart device out when they're watching TV. A lot of people do something related to what they're watching on TV, and with us, there's no typing. You just push the button, and we want to provide what content would you want to have right now about that show, about that advertisement, or whatever. But it's not just TV for us. We think we have that same level of relevance to the movie theater world, retail environments. So in retail, we were running pilots where you walk into a store, there's signs saying to Shazam for the back-to-school specials, Shazam for free offers, that kind of stuff. We're working on live concerts. So I'm sure you guys go to concerts. That's still a fairly low-tech environment. Why can't you use Shazam and get the playlist, buy the merchandise, find out more information, and radio, and on and on. So TV is a big part of our opportunity, but it goes way beyond TV.
Hey, a question here. So Shazam is very popular in the States. Is there a strategy behind marketing internationally? So if I went to China, is Shazam big there, and how are you guys expanding internationally?
Yeah, great question. So we mentioned 100 million monthly active users. The majority of those are outside the U.S. And so we're bigger in Western Europe. We're bigger than we are in the U.S. in terms of percentage of smartphones that Shazammed in the last month. So it really is a very, very global popularity, with China probably being the one exception. So we actually are not that big in China, but in the rest of the world, it's pretty similar, and in some countries, like I said, bigger than the U.S. We're the second most downloaded app of all time in France, for example. No, we're as part of that Soundwave methodology. It's language agnostic, and it works everywhere, and so no problems with that. Sometimes we have problems getting the songs. That's the bigger challenge, but the technology is sound.
Okay, so I think we can keep going for a few minutes.
Okay.
So here we are, it's summer of 2014. Where do you think you guys are going to be a year from now?
Yeah, so a year from now, I hope that we're celebrating another big milestone. I don't know, I'm not sure which one yet. I'm still celebrating yesterday's 100 million, but maybe it's 150 million or something like that. Still one of the most popular apps in the world. And I hope if I was sitting here a year from now, it would have become natural for you to Shazam your TV or that program before the movie starts or retail environment. And so the questions from consumers would have evolved to, what does that mean? Why would I do that? To how could we do even more? Why can't I buy tickets? So we've gone to the next level of integration in those sort of environments. And that Shazam has become, for you guys that make Shazam, once a week or once a month, that we've moved that up. So it's greater frequency and more time spent with Shazam. So we really want to be a bigger part of people's lives. And I like to think in the next 12 months we can make a lot of progress on that.
It seems like the one challenge with the TV thing is getting people to watch the ads, which is probably an age-old dilemma. What do you do about that?
Yeah, well, so first of all, we work in a DVR scenario as well, because we're going off the sound waves from the ad. But we make an ad a lot more fun. I mean, it's fun to watch that Jaguar ad in the Super Bowl, Shazam it, and literally go inside the car, be able to rev the engine. It makes it fun.
Super Bowl is great because I think everyone loves Super Bowl
True.
ads.
That's true.
I'm guilty of going past the ads on my DVR shows, though.
Yeah. I mean, I think we try to make it when you watch an ad, we try to add value to that ad. I don't know if we can really impact, being so great that we cause you to actually watch the ad. We would maybe aspire to that level, but we're certainly a very effective way to deliver a coupon. And so if you don't watch the ad, you don't get the coupon kind of thing. And so as ads become able to actually transmit value to you on your mobile device, maybe watching the ads is well worth it after all.
Okay, great. I think that's all the time we have. I'm getting the wrap-up signal from off on the sides. But Rich, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you guys. Some really great questions from the audience.